She Dies Tomorrow, new thriller available digitally with the poster very reminiscent of a movie called Wounds that came out last year and was unfortunately pretty terrible. This one is a weird fever dream non-linear thriller centered around a group of characters. The one you could call the main one is named Amy, and at the beginning of the film we see her in this weird melancholic state of mind, wandering around the house as if not fully present. When her friend Jane visits in the evening, Amy reveals that she will die tomorrow. She doesn't know how, and she doesn't know how she knows that. She just knows for a fact that she will die, and she makes these mental preparations. Jane naturally thinks Amy is nuts and leaves, but that very evening, an ominous feeling gets over her as well, and she begins to think, or rather, she's convinced that she will die the next day just as well. This feeling, this premonition, then travels, spreads around among other people like a virus. And we keep track of that on one hand, and on the other hand, we go through flashbacks of Amy and her boyfriend on a trip out of town where we will maybe learn what is actually going on. So, in terms of what the film is, I think the answer is very difficult because She Dies Tomorrow is deliberately unobvious, ambiguous, unclear as to what it's doing. It certainly doesn't spell out its message out loud, and you really have to look for the meaning yourself. If I was to compare it to something, my first pick would be David Lynch, and specifically Mulholland Drive. Both movies have this nightmarish quality to them, the atmosphere of a bad dream. There is also one particular scene in She Dies Tomorrow, which, no spoilers, it's just a shot of Amy walking slowly towards the camera with sounds and colors sort of swirling around and changing. And it's a shot that is very simple in terms of how it's done. And it isn't particularly scary or terrifying, but it is extremely unsettling for some reason. Like, really, really off. Something about it doesn't feel right. And this scene reminded me of Lynch the most. I think it shoots and hits a similar atmosphere he often nails. In technical terms, I also want to commend the sound design, which is incredible throughout the film and helps build that uneasy tone, that tension. Unfortunately, that's about as much good as I'm willing to say about the film. I think on the whole, it is pretty disappointing because in going for ambiguity, it actually was mostly incoherent for me. For most of the film, I didn't know what was the point of anything, and worse still, I didn't care. Nothing in it dragged me in emotionally, save for a few individual unsettling sequences like the one I described. I think as a whole, the film is mostly a mess with no point or purpose. Now, this is where the Lynch comparison comes in as a very important thing. I dislike Lynch's work. I find it difficult to digest and understand, and it frustrates me a little bit that he himself and his fans seem to defend this work by saying, oh, it's not meant to be understood, but rather experienced. I don't really buy into that explanation, but here's the thing. If you're one of the people who do enjoy David Lynch, you can give this film a chance as well. Maybe it will work for you because of the similarities. But if, like me, you're not so much into this narrow, particular kind of experimental cinema, maybe this is not for you.